Let's talk about IP ratings and the confusion and confuddlement people experience with IP ratings. So I'm going to go all day into IP ratings, what they are, how they work, what it means and all that. And because idiots watch this, like my mate Pitchfork sometimes watches them, I'm going to start right at the beginning so even a retard can pick it up. There's no point in me going in like assuming you know what IP rating even means. I'm going to start from the very beginning. It's going to be a rough ride. You better get yourself a cup of tea or something. Here we go. Woo! IP ratings are a category given to equipment to tell you how much ingress it can accept. So IP stands not for ingress like you think it would. It stands for international protection. It's the International Protection Code. So that's the first thing to remember. If you ever get asked a clinical question like in an exam, what does IP stand for? IP stands for international protection. I remember the correct way of doing it by remembering international rescue. You know the Thunderbirds. So international rescue is an international rescue service. International protection is an international protection service. But we all know really the I should stand for ingress. Ingress protection, meaning what can get inside something. And it's then further developed by having some numbers on the end. Now I'm going to start with a 2-number version because it's just easier than me explaining the entire ingress protection system, which to be honest, no one needs to know about because it goes into all sorts of mad shit we don't care about. But let's look at an IP code up here. I'm not going to go madly deeply into how the IP code works because there are tables online you can look at. But all you've got there is you've got IP, international protection, and then you've got an X and an X. Funnily enough, that is a code. IPXX is a code. I'm not telling you what it is, you can find out for your fucking self. But what I'm saying is, in this particular example that I'm trying to explain to you, there's international protection and then there's 2 digits available. Let's look at another set of digits. So in this example, I think I've made this up, I don't think it even exists. I put IP00. In the 2-digit form, the first number relates to solids and how much protection it has from solids. The second number relates to protection from liquids and how much protection it has from liquids. Those numbers go from 0, as in fuck all protection, to 6, as in the highest level of protection, which might not be as high as you think. I'll come to that later when I talk about water. But at the minute, this thing up here, IP00, it's got fuck all protection against solids and it's got fuck all protection against liquids. In that order. This could apply to your head, which to be fair, has got fuck all protection against solids dropping onto it and has got fuck all protection against liquids landing on it. If something hits you on your head, you're going to feel it. Something gets on your head that's liquid, you're going to get wet. So there you go, IP00, nothing. Now in this example, I've gone to the other extreme. IP66 is implying that the International Protection Standard is number 6 for solids and number 6 for water. Number 6 means totally protected against the ingress of dust. For solids and for liquids, it means virtually protected against all forms of ingress from liquids from high pressure jets. So that means like you get your jet wash on it, yeah, or it's getting smashed in by loads of water coming off something. So it means jets. It doesn't mean underwater, because underwater you've not only got the movement of the water, but you've got the pressure of the water. So if something's IP66 on the surface, get it below 4 meters, water will probably piss into it because you've got water pressure. These IP ratings are all related to above the sea level, above water, not underwater, yeah? They're not related to underwater in any way whatsoever. What you've also got to remember is that we're only talking about solids and we're only talking about liquids here. Solids are solids, different sized particles of things, yeah? Liquids, if it can withstand a jet of clean water, because these ratings are given for clean water, it might not, well, put it this way, if you spray seawater or something, it's going to fucking wreck it because seawater eats everything. Salty water just pulverizes all sorts of metals and plastics and stuff like that. So just be aware, IP ratings are a clinical lab-based assessment using clinical lab-based testing methods to assign a set of numbers to a product that is related to its ability to withstand the ingress of solids and liquids in laboratory conditions. And we all know the real world is not a laboratory condition, so be aware of that. The other thing it's worth remembering with IP ratings is they are related to the outside in, not the inside out. So they also don't apply to loads of other things like condensation, flora, fauna, heat. There's loads of other things that can knacky something up that are environmental problems that aren't related to solids or liquids from the outside in. So I've taken apart many a switch that's IP65 rated where the IP rating's been maintained and it's full of water and all rusted because condensation inside can't get out. So although it's not rated in that direction, the water still couldn't get out and the condensation inside just gone round and round and round and rusted the fuck out of it. So be aware of that. I used to work heavily in aggregates. I'll tag Beth in this because I'm sure she's got some about it. Beth the Sparky, I know she works heavily in aggregates. She's probably put up, like I have, so many IP65 fluorescent fittings in her entire life, or I have in my life, and I have took IP65 fittings down and they are full of the finest dust imaginable. But they are IP65, apparently according to the IP rating, they are totally protected against the ingress of dust. Personally, I've never experienced anything in the world that's totally protected against the ingress of fine sand dust or fine cement powder. Just don't happen. But apparently it's IP65, which brings us on to actual IP ratings and stuff. The fuse board I've put above me, I've just picked from a manufacturer, not particularly on any particular manufacturer, is sold as an IP65 fuse board. Fuse protective code, whatever you want to call it, I'll call it a fuse board, yeah? I'll tell you now, that is probably correct. That has probably passed the clinical laboratory test to be an IP65 fuse board. However, I know on some of the outdoor fuse boards that I've been slagging off recently that they claim IP65, which is fine for the fuse board when you take it out of the box, and they claim IP20 with the lid open, which sounds great, but we just found out that IP20 means you can't fit your finger in. IP2 is a 12.5mm probe, I believe, and the second number, 0, means it's got 0 protection against water. So no, when the lid's open, it's got IP20 protection. Might sound great, but it just means you can't get your finger in and water can do what it wants. So actually, IP20 is dog shit. Now, out the box is what you got to consider. Out of the box, that manufactured item, the fuse board I've shown, is IP65. As soon as you drill a hole in it, you'll always notice IP boxes have got no holes in whatsoever, not even the holes for the screws. As soon as you drill a hole in it, you're then responsible for maintaining the ingress protection number, international protection number, of that box. So if you drill 4 holes in the back of it to fix it to a wall, that's your responsibility. You just took it down to IP30, 4 IP something. You've took the ingress protection down from 65 anyway to probably about 30. Now it's your job to make those holes good, to maintain the IP rating. So I get all these people go, oh, put some lights up and they're IP65 and they let water in. They're IP65 till you fucked around with them. Part of your job is to maintain that ingress protection for that piece of equipment. Ingress protection is not absolute, it's not magic, it's not some kind of fucking force field around stuff when you buy it. It is sold as IP65 out of the box. Your responsibility is to maintain the IP rating. If you wire, for example, a stuffing gland into it and you use a rubber or fibre washer, which most sparkies don't know anything about unless you're ATEX trained, and then you use a gland of the right size, there's a good chance you might maintain some sort of IP rating, maybe even 65, yeah? If you gland a normal BW armour gland into it with a rubber washer, the IP rating's probably down to like 30 because a gland has holes in it. It doesn't maintain anything. Drilling it on the top or the bottom will affect the IP rating. So the amount of IP65 lights I put up properly with outdoor glands and proper washers, and then you take it apart and there's a fucking spider in it. This is one of the reasons why the problem with the outdoor fuse board, you see, the IP rating they give is out of the box. Most people, most sparkies, I'm not being rude, but most sparkies have not got the skills or knowledge or equipment to maintain an IP65 rating once they start drilling holes in it. It's a difficult job to do. How do you maintain IP65 when you've got a conduit in it? You can't. You just put a pipe in it that can bring water in from miles away. When using glands, only specific cable glands and stuffing glands and SWA glands will maintain a 65 rating. And if you start drilling holes in it and putting grommets in it and putting twin earths for it, you may as well just left it all on fucking show. That is for you to think about. You can't blame the manufacturer just because you ploughed a massive hole in something and now it's got a family of rats living inside it.